beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. So today we have another houseplant care series, and as you guys can tell from the title, we're going to be talking about the beautiful peace lily plant. Now these are probably one of the most easiest houseplants to take care of. They don't actually require a lot, and they are a low light plant as well. So there are a few things that it's finicky with, such as the amount of light and the amount of water that you give it. However, once you figure those things out, having a peace lily, it's going to be your most low maintenance plant. It just likes to chill by itself. So yeah, without further ado, let's just jump right in. So NASA did name the peace lily in the top 10 air purifying plants. These little babies are known to neutralize formaldehyde and carbon monoxide, which could be two of the most hazardous things in your air. Now NASA also recommends that you have 6 to 8 of these in a room. However, one, this is kind of big, and two, some air purifying plant is better than no air purifying plant, in my opinion. So that's one thing about it. And then another thing is that it's super finicky when it comes to chemicals. So when it comes to what you're fertilizing with, what you're watering it with, any of that, you want to make sure that you're using as little chemical as possible because it can damage the plant greatly. In its natural habitat, it's found in rainforest, so it gets a lot of filtered light and a lot of water as well. Now you don't want to overwater it. There's a fine line between keeping your plant adequately watered and overwatering it, but that is the natural environment for it. So filtered light, lots of water, and also lots of humidity. And if you're able to replicate those 3 things for your plant is going to be very happy with you. So first, let's talk about watering. Like I said, they like a lot of water, but not too much water. So basically, when it comes to watering, you want to make sure that you wait till the top inch of soil dries out. So just stick your finger in there and see how wet or dry it is, and then add water according to that. Now this is my first time using a self-watering pot, and I don't have an opinion on it yet because it's only been like 2 weeks, but what I have noticed is that it seems to keep a pretty consistent moisture level for the soil for the plant that I've noticed so far. So yeah, just make sure you're keeping it watered, but you're not having it sit in soil. It doesn't want to sit in soggy roots, okay? Do you like when your feet are soaked and you just have to sit in that soaked? No, it's gross. So same thing with your plants. Just make sure that you're keeping it watered, but you are not overwatering it. It's a fine line, but once you figure it out, it'll be very happy. And then also the peace lily will talk to you. So when she's thirsty, she will droop, and it will droop pretty dramatically too, and that tends to worry a lot of people. Just give her some water, and in a few hours she'll perk right back up and go back to whatever it is she was doing. Peace lilies do flower. However, from what I've heard and experienced, I've only gotten 2 flowers on my peace lily since I've had it, but a lot of people do say that it's very difficult to get your peace lily to flower. And so it's mostly a green foliage plant, but you know, it's very pretty, and I love like the shape of the leaves. Like, they're really shiny, and like the ripples and stuff, it's beautiful. Also, as I mentioned earlier, since it is very sensitive to chemicals, if you're watering it with tap water, you want to make sure that you leave the water out overnight to get as many of those toxins to evaporate as possible before you water your peace lily with it. Some people can water it straight with tap water and have no problem. I just like to use that as a precaution, just to let the toxins evaporate out of the water first before you go ahead and water the plant. So when it comes to fertilization, I fertilize my plants every few months, and I just use fish fertilizer. As I've mentioned before on my channel, I don't use anything other than fish fertilizer. I just like to keep things as natural as possible, especially for plants like the peace lily that are more finicky or sensitive to harsher chemicals. So if you do use a more conventional fertilizer, you want to make sure you dilute it even more than what the instructions tell you to do, because it's better to use a little less than too much, because the smallest amount of over fertilizing can drastically harm your plant. So just err on the side of caution when it comes to fertilizers that you choose. So when it comes to lighting of the peace lily, this is probably the most light she's gotten while she's been in this room, because I have her usually in my bedroom. I'll insert a picture on the screen of the kind of lighting that she gets. Obviously it looks a little bit brighter than it normally is in there, just because of the fancy camera that adds a little more light to it for you. But that's basically the lighting that she gets. And when I mean low light, guys, I don't mean no light, okay? They need some kind of light in order to keep on living. However, she does do okay with very low light settings. But yeah, they do start browning at the tips if they're starting to get too much light, and that just means you just gotta pull them back a little bit more and shade them a little bit, and then you'll see that your plant starts to recover and you won't have a problem with that in the future. But other than that, when it's pretty simple with the lighting. Once you find good lighting for it, like I said, it'll do very well. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new leaves coming in right now, so it seems to be okay with getting the light that it's getting right now. Now, since these plants are rainforest plants, as I mentioned, they do prefer higher humidity levels. So yes, high humidity for the plant. And then another reason it can get brown leaves or brown tips as well is a lack of humidity. And I will admit, my bedroom is not the most humid place. I have my giant humidifier in here, but I don't really have one anywhere else in this house. So ways you can create humidity if you don't have a humidifier, you can just spray some water on top of the leaves and it'll create its own humidity that way. Or in the bottom of your pot, you could put a layer of rocks, so that way before you put all the soil and stuff, and that'll create its own humidity from that as well. Some problems that you can have with peace lily plants, I've covered some of them. Browning of the leaves, it's either going to be lack of humidity or too much direct light. So you just gotta play with what your environment has going on right now to figure out which one it would be. And then yellowing of leaves, I left it here so I can show you guys, because I feel like it's easier to talk about it when you have an actual example. So yellowing of leaves would be like this right here. And this could be one of two reasons. It's either you're overwatering your plant, which is not my case at all, I promise, or it's just getting old, so the leaf is slowly starting to die off. And all you have to do is just trim it down, get rid of it, and then your plant will be fine. Like I said, I just kept it as an example purpose. But I've had this plant for about 8 months, and that leaf was already on the plant when I got it, which is why I'm assuming that it's just because it's getting old. And I always tend to underwater my plants and not overwater them, so I never worry about overwatering being a problem, for me at least. And the other thing that peace lilies are susceptible to is fungus gnats. Now, there are ways that you can work around that. You can add cinnamon to the top of the soil. You can put those little sticky fly traps in there. There is an herbicide that you can add to the soil as well to go ahead and kill any eggs that may be in there or anything. But as I said, use it cautiously, because you don't want to add too much chemicals and tamper with your peace lily that way. But those are the main 3 problems that peace lily has. But with the leaves, you just got to find the root cause, rectify it, and then chop off the dead ones. And then your plant will be perfectly fine after that. Also, sorry if you can hear my chickens. One of them is a sassy girl, and she likes to get real loud when she's laying an egg. So if she sounds like she's dying, she's fine. She's just laying an egg right now. I hope you guys can't hear her. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next one.